To the faculty and staff of the Queen's MFA program, my thesis advisor, Kathy Smith-Bowers, my readers, Maury Creech and Claudia Rankin, my mentors, I offer my sincerest gratitude for your assistance and expert guidance. To the many friends I met during my time here, I want to thank you for making this one of the most memorable experiences of my life. And to my friends at home and my family who made many sacrifices and provided constant support so that I could continue my work, I have no words more adequate than I love you. When I started this program, I was still living in the golden years with my family intact. And shortly after I came to Queens, I lost my precious mother, and then a number of other relatives and colleagues in rapid succession. It was quite unexpected. Needless to say, my family members are biting their nails until graduation's over tomorrow. Because we're compelled to write about what haunts us, I turned in a thesis this week that was brimming with elegies and poems about death, dying, and loss. This will not be a feel-good reading. Well, let's begin. We'll begin with a fisherwoman who has an epiphany about life and death while contemplating her pastime. The catch. I stand on the riverbank and inspect my fishing basket. The inside spangled with opaline scales, the map of a trout's final tumble with life. I know little of such vessels beyond what they keep. A tight braid of sweetgrass is a mystery to me. These fingers have never urged a strip of willow to twist and bend against its will. Yet into this creel, I forced a living thing and latched the flap. The lightness of the basket belies its true weight. Life is plied and woven, a holding place we thump against, leaving bits of ourselves to linger beyond the final gasp, and we are laid gently, gently now away. I stand on the riverbank, watch a fisherman snap his catch from the rush, its iridescent body like a slipper you could fit a foot into, and arc the icy air, breathless, amazed, as if we were loose, free to choose a landing place. In the course of caring for Mother during her final illness, there were times when she required a great deal of physical assistance to get her from the bed to someplace else she might need to go, like the restroom or the table. And whenever I assisted her, I would hold her chest to chest in my arms, and she would always say, "Don't drop me, just please don't drop me." So to calm her, I would tell her, "Let's just pretend we're dancing." Waltz of the Invalid. Let's pretend we are light on our feet, that all we know of the world is in our arms, that the gown you wear was made for twirling and not a night's solitary rest. Focus on my chin, how it fits the dip of your collarbone, our cheeks soft and flush. Don't pause to measure the risk at the half-turn of how we could wobble, our legs poised to tangle. I don't want to know your full weight, the gravity of the situation, how it feels to let you go or to fall down with you. Once a loved one is diagnosed with a terminal illness, there comes a point where you move from denial to acceptance. And to not do that is to risk giving them a substandard level of care. This requires the family meeting. This is a poem I don't usually read aloud because it has multiple voices, but since I I have some of my family members here tonight. They're going to help me out with this short poem, entitled appropriately, Family Meeting. You quiver, the first to speak among the sad clutch of kin. Mother is fragile, and so are we all. Hearts runny, grief emergent. Your voice, an egg tooth that pips the brittle quiet. Words crack into the prickling air.
She must be moved.
Prickling like a pin feather.
No other choice.
And beneath the pin feather,
Courage, sisters.
a trembling, trembling wing. There are people in this world who engage in a kind of psychological fantasy in which they strongly desire to return to the safety of the womb. I found myself empathizing with them as my mother gradually slipped away. This state of mind is referred to clinically as perinatal matrix 1. What I want before you go to fall back into you, flutter beneath the cathedral of your ribs, the sepulchral warmth where first I floated, sink like a pit into that place where you began me all those years ago, a whirl lodged between your hips. Safe from the sorrow coughed into the paper white of your palm, the rattled breath that curls my heart to a fist, the look pulling my ears to your lips, so you can whisper the last words you will ever say to me. In the aftermath of loss, I moved rather disjointed through the stages of grief, and I'm still doing that. But I found depression to absolutely be the most oppressive of those stages. Almanac. Blades of grass have dried to bayonets, and the basil pearled its tips to an early seed. Even the slender throats of daisies dropped their coral heads weeks ago. That's what a brute this season has been. In June, the family came to say goodbye to you. We quivered against one another, grieved our loss in the contrived cool of a church. It was a steamy 94 outside that day. July's drought broke, but only on the brow. I awakened each day parched and sweating. My water glass, a sentinel among the mementos at my bedside. A lock of hair, a photograph, a few spoons of ash inside of a shell. Now the Carolina August tilts, a cup of fog that spills across the calendar. I pencil a dot on the 31st to mark your birth, a period at the end of a month when the mercury dips to a bearable 82, only one day in 10. And yes, there was anger, but just briefly. Before you are cremated, shave a curl of cartilage from your ear, pluck a hair from your chin, clip a crescent from your nail, press an eyelash to my fingertip so I might make a wish. Leave me, take the air, take the aspirant left in the easy chair, keep your ash flecked with bone. It means nothing. It means everything. And here and there are moments of reflection, crystal clear images, little snippets of memories that linger and pop up when you least expect them. Remembering I go cold. It was not the sun, but something shading your face against it. Or was it the morning you knew you were dying, your eyes gripping my face like it was something slippery? Not the scratch of your breaths, but how you held the silence between them like magnificent stones. And the pearls rolling, one by one by one, down the soft valley. And then comes the aloneness. A reliable silence. The wasp nest above the window hangs abandoned, dozens of tiny sockets suddenly emptied of their eyes. As if they fell with the darkness, a shoal of tears and striped jackets released into the night. On the other side of the glass, a woman sits for hours on a sofa, a computer to warm her lap. The children who once sat there are gone, no longer remember a time when they were hers. She is still learning about the ambiguity of space, how there is always nothing to fill it. She only thinks she hears a tapping on the window, sees something bobbing against the pane. When someone close to us dies, I think it's a natural response for us to try to hold on to them as much as possible while also honoring their memory. And one way we do that is through ritual. My mother was Sicilian, so as a child, it was a ritual in our household for my grandmother to make a spaghetti dinner every Sunday. So you would get up in the morning and you would smell the sauce simmering, and in Sicilian that sauce is called sugo, but in my family that's pronounced suka. And it's brimming with fresh basil, which we call basilico, and you ladle the suka on top of your plate of basta, not pasta, basta. This Sunday supper is a tradition I still strive to continue in my own household these days. Sunday morning suka. Hunger and blood call me back to the shore, the mat by the stove, where olive oil trembles in a pan for bits of garlic, torn leaves of sweet basilico, swept in with the back of a hand veined like my mother's, and a line of others who came before us. Because there is hunger and blood, there is always tomato paste, the tradition of working it from its can. I crack the shells of peppercorns, grind salt crystals from an ancient sea to a fine pink sand. Plum tomatoes are tiny wombs in my palm, and I crush them, release a tide thick with juice, pulp, and seed, the aroma snagged at the corners by the heat, shaken out like a damp sheet into the morning air. There are stains on the apron I wear, the ties wound tight, rooted in the deep where loved ones reach out for me, the way we touch, how we speak, a red current stirred to a crescendo in a pot. The lid is fit. 2 hours at a simmer, then let it come. The rush of a family to be fed reforms the circle at this weathered table where the raising of our forks is the raising of our dead. Thank you